Hello guys, Sir Grindonot here right after the Halloween update. I wanted to talk a little bit about my full poison build because it has been working extremely well for me and it's also fairly easy to put together, especially in terms of gear. Now, the reason why it's easy to put together is that it relies on 3 skills that all deal poison damage, meaning that as soon as you get some equipment that provides you with extra poison damage, either, flat damage or poison damage percentage or damage over time increase, any of those bonuses, they will apply to all your active skills, which is pretty good. Whereas if you were using, for example, a fireball here to activate Toxic Flame, all your fire damage bonuses will not apply in full to Toxic Flame, only to a certain percentage. And I'm currently using them on 5 links, because I was building mileage on poison area and it turned out to get 6 links well before mileage, so I'm still waiting to reach 1500 to then upgrade probably Toxic Flame first and later on Plague Spike, but honestly if you use the different activator of the build would still be exceptional. You may notice a lot of people playing Toxic Flame, Poison Area, and here whatever else. Honestly, here it can be any other skill and it's going to be working absolutely fine as well. But in my case, since I have a high level Plague Spike and I have some decent gear for poison damage, I decided to stick with a full poison. The things that I'm using on it are... well, on Plague Spike I'm using Piercing, Spell Damage Increase, Additional Poison Damage, and Multi-Shot. Here, when I had 6 link, I would have to test a little bit whether Poison Penetration or this one, Projectile Iteration, are better. Because this is a projectile and it does damage on hit as well as a little bit of, poison over time thingy. But, so there is a chance that either this one or damage penetration, poison damage penetration will be better. I will have to test it. Then spell activation on spell hit, of course. And for Toxic Flame I'm using poison penetration, Elite Slayer, damage over time, and elemental damage amplification. Once I get a 6 link, I'm guessing I would use extra poison damage here. This thing, additional poison damage, put it here. And for the last one, Poison Area, I'm using Elemental Damage Amplification, it's shared between these two, Poison Penetration, Elite Slayer, Spell Damage Increase, it's only level 1, I need more resources to level it up, Damage over time, and additional Poison Damage. So, it's only using poison stuff. Now, this is a little bit of a flex slot. I personally find the ability of summoning Abysslings or, any kind of summon in general to be very useful, especially against bosses, because even if they don't do much, my Abyssling is only level 15, so he gets one shot by almost everything, even the trash monsters on the map. What it's going to do is, it's going to split aggro. Some monsters will go after you, some monsters will go after the Abyssling. Sometimes the boss will go after the Abyssling rather than on you, meaning that you will have all the time that you want to go full DPS on the boss, and it's absolutely amazing. Other skills that I use are the essentially mandatory teleport and the almost mandatory release element, because if you're a caster you really want this skill. Disarm, use count, and increase duration for teleport to have an extra use, reduce cooldown, and a slightly longer duration on the elemental resist bonus. And here on release element I also have time acceleration to increase the recovery speed. I'm using this Unite Crowd. I just keep it there, passively, because it increases the attack speed of the Abysslings. Not particularly useful, but it can always help. And I always have Cold Armor because it's a decent defensive tool. An alternative, if I could open the screen, here in the journal, let's go to the Item Compendium, Rune Compendium. Could be this one, in terms of utility, because it's suddenly a nice defensive boost. It gives you an instant recovery of hit points, regeneration, extra hit points. Sometimes when you're getting aggroed by a lot of stuff, it can be very useful to be able to teleport away a short distance and click a panic button that will allow you to, you know, recover hit points much faster than just with potions. But it's not really necessary, it's just a nice boost to your survivability in general. This is how I set up my Zodiac in terms of stats. The reason why my stats are set up like this is that my gear is actually a mix of armor and barrier for the most part. The reason why I decided to go that way, apart from my boots, is simply that armor is the only way to reduce physical damage. So I gave up roughly 1,200, 1,300 barrier just to have a better reduction of physical damage hits that come my way. I've not been able to replace the boots yet because the resistances that I get are pretty good and they fit the rest of my gear perfectly. I would really like to have armor barrier boots with higher movement speed and similar resistances, but crafting them is not going to be easy, and I have very few resources for the auction house at the moment. In terms of weapon, I'm using these two. They're both self-crafted. Every time that I find a good base, I will dump some of my crafting materials here, and they turned out to be quite well. Of course, fire penetration here is completely wasted, but other than that, everything else pretty okay. Now, let's go to the Zodiac. One by one. Here, damage, a little bit of survivability, full damage here. Where is number 3? I want to go in order. Unfortunately, there is not an easy and fast way to show everything, so we need to go this way. Let's go to 4. This is what I got on 4. Then let's go to 5, which is here. On 5 I got 2 nodes. One here, because it gives a little bit of extra elemental damage and a little bit of extra survivability. And this one is just exclusively for damage output. Then we go to 6. Here, all concerning poison damage. Then we go to 7, which is here. All about damage. Then we go to 8. All about damage, again. I'm dual wielding, I'm using 2 wands, so I actually benefit from all of these nodes. And this one was 8, and after that there are only the specializations, these 2. Here I got acceleration just because 20% casting speed and 15% movement speed is amazing. And I used this for a while where I was a cold damage build, but since damage over time does not crit, that would not be very good for me. So I respect and I moved in this direction for elemental damage, penetration and amplification. Then I got this one here. It's pretty sweet extra damage nodes. I have not been able to test yet whether this or this is better, but I decided to go this direction first. No particular reason. Then we have these, which are the last ones that I'm getting. I did not get this because, unfortunately, elemental damage, damage over time multiplier, elemental damage, very nice, and then fire damage. So this is actually one that is more geared toward, you know, burning damage, but I could stop here and still get some decent bonuses. And the next nodes are going in this direction to get some extra bonuses over here. And that's pretty much it for the Zodiac at the moment. So this is a gold map. Monster level is the same as my character because unfortunately I have not leveled up my Chaos Statue to 10, so I'm not able to level up my maps properly. And I'm just clearing stuff very safely and easily. The only thing that I need to worry about a little bit are monsters that deal physical damage, because even though I'm using armor in well, a mix of armor and barrier in most of my equipment pieces, my physical damage reduction is still the weakest part of the build. Ideally, I would prefer to have way more, but you know, you need to find the equipment for that and or craft it, so it can take a little bit of time. Now, in order to maximize the XP per hour, you should go to the boss as soon as you get it, but when I'm close to the end of the map, like geographically to the end, I like to have a quick look at the last rooms just to see if the loot goblin is there. Because loot goblin can be pretty valuable. We didn't get any loot goblin. Let's go to the boss. Hello, boss. These kind of bosses that hover in the same spot are a joy for this build, because in addition to the damage over time of Plague Spike and Toxic Flame, they also get the full duration of this thing, Poison Area. It deals a ton of damage, really a ton. This poison build is also absolutely amazing at raids. Now, of course, when it comes to clearing raids, especially the Caravan and Sikus, you rely a lot on your team members. You're just part of the machine that has to kill the monster. But in general, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage with a poison build on these kind of bosses. It's also very good for the Spire. Spire, there is going to be a lot of monsters all around you, spawning everywhere. And I've been clearing the chaos difficulty already, and it works very well. And let's have a quick look at what we can do here. That's some fairly decent DPS. 2.5 million on 9 of these dudes. Now it will go down because Poison Area has expired, of course. So let's stop it. Pretty nice. Let's try with just 3 dudes, which is a more standard setup, but we want to wait for the cooldown on of Poison Area, because it provides quite a big beefy chunk of damage. Okay, with just 3 guys, we are at 1.3 million DPS, which is pretty respectable considering that I only have 5 links on the 2 main skills that compose the build. And now we're out of mana. Feels bad, man. When it comes to the Relic, I'm using this little dude. It spits out poison thingies and gives me some extra poison resistance. While when it comes to the charms, I'm essentially not using them, because the only set of charms that would work for my build is the one that increases poison resistance at 20% and poison damage at 40%. But I don't need the poison resistance, and everything else feels pretty bad. So I'm just using these 2. This one gives me a bit of elemental damage, this one gives me a little bit of elemental barrier. I don't have anything decent yet, so I'm just waiting for the day when the RNG gods will finally deem me worthy of getting 40% on the set that I want. And so that's all for a slightly more in-depth look to my full poison damage build. I should be able to stream tomorrow, which is Thursday. I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys, take care!